Hey YouTube, Rider here with my review of Lupinranger vs. Patranger episode 13. I think it was 13, I'm pretty sure. I always do it because it's like one number less for the second number than Kamen Riders, but anyway. So yeah, this was a fun episode, I thought. It was a really charming episode. There wasn't any huge developments in the plot or anything introduced or any huge character stuff where we learned about them, but it was kind of just a nice little episode where, honestly, the two girls took the focus. We had Tsukasa and Umika. I think it's Umiko. I'm gonna call her Umiko for this episode, but they mainly focused around them. Honestly, the guys only appeared in a couple scenes throughout the majority of the episode, and then they appeared at the very end for like the fights and stuff. But they took the main focus, and the premise was basically Tsukasa was taking the day off to go get this stuffed animal raffle thing. It was like, not a raffle, it's kind of like one of those punch card things when you go to a sandwich place or a coffee place, except you just do it with rides at the place and you do all these activities and you get a stamp. This is important stuff. Like, I like how I'm reviewing this episode, explaining park games, and you know, they get a stuffed animal, and so those two were kind of together doing all this stuff in like a buddy system, because obviously she knows Umiko as the girl from the restaurant. And it was just kind of a fun little episode with some fun bits. There were some funny little comedic bits, like when they found out they had to do it together and stuff like that. And when they were about to go into this haunted house, I like how the subs say, oh, of course, this seems about right. And like, right when it says the subs for that, it shows like a poster for the haunted house, which is just a bunch of scary Japanese children, which just like sums up so much of their horror, which I just thought it was a funny little moment. But the funniest moment for that scene was actually afterwards when Tsukasa was like, oh, I know these types of things can be scary, so if you want, I can hold your hand. And then like, it cuts to Umiko not being there, not being scared, and like that classic wind sound effect. I don't know, I thought that was pretty amusing. And like, she was basically like Nick Miller going in there. Like, she immediately freaked out. And then, you know, Gangler shows up and she's like, quick, hide in the closet, and I won't suspect that you're Lupin Yellow at all. And it's interesting to see the dynamic immediately shift, because they were kind of getting along, and Umiko had this nice moment where she was sort of thinking back on her friend that was destroyed by the ice dude, and how she used to comfort her when she was scared and tried to do the same thing with Tsukasa, and it was like this nice little moment. But then immediately once they transform, they're like slap fighting, like, you know, get out of my way, I'm trying to do my mission, I'm trying to do my mission. And then it was like the classic, they get chained together bit, and they have to learn to work together. And so they basically they come up with this on-the-fly strategy of making it look like Lupin Yellow put Sango in the way of an attack, but it was all a ruse to let the guard down, and they got the, you know, the collection item out. And then the guys' main function in the episode was mainly just, like I said, at the beginning they were in the episode to react to the fact that the girls were not there, like, oh, they're doing this. And then they show up to, like, blow up like the force field that the Gangler put over the park at the end. And it was actually kind of a funny little moment where Nigo and Ichigo were trying to blow up the shield and they couldn't do it. And so Blue and Yellow, or Blue and Red, no, Blue and Red was right. Blue and Red use the copter attack and combine it with the Patrangers, and it blows it up, and they're like, we did it. And then Nigo's like, wait a minute, there was a helicopter in there. And then they like bounce over their heads. It was just a nice little moment. But yeah, the girls basically find a way to defeat him, but then Lupin Red finishes it off. And then, because like Sango fainted or whatever, the Lupinrangers took out the Gangler in the big form, because, you know, we gotta show off the copter in its last week as the featured auxiliary, not the copter, the scissors as the featured auxiliary, because next week we're getting the crane debut for Patranger's stuff. And then, you know, at the end, I was waiting for the scene where like Tsukasa came back for Umiko in the closet, but that never happened. Like, she just was all of a sudden eating at the restaurant and was greeting her, and Umiko got her the stuffed animal, but it was the wrong one. Like, they were after I think it was like a toast-headed one, but the one that she wanted was like a pig bacon one or something. But yeah, that was kind of funny, and for a split second I thought that she said, no, I don't want this one, because she was going to try to be a serious cop. Like, no, I have to throw away these childish things when I'm a cop for this, like, you know, to keep up appearances. But then she was like, oh no, I want this stuffed animal. So, yeah. Kind of a funny episode to sort of review, recap, because it's like really mundane, silly events, but I thought it was a pretty enjoyable episode. And it's funny because obviously the whole gimmick is this team versus this team, and they're different teams, and we've been watching the show for 10 plus episodes now, but the dynamic in the episode reminded me of like legitimate team-up movies between two separate series, when you have like two conflicting personalities that they'll put together because you know that they're gonna bounce off each other, and like in certain ways, like in some ways they kind of are similar, and in some ways they're gonna, you know, clash. And so it kind of reminded me of that, which was kind of neat, and it kind of really sold the whole separate teams bit for me. But I thought it was a nice episode just because it was some enjoyable character stuff, and I think episodes like these with the civilian Pat Rangers and Fruit Loop Rangers are for kids, like building some sort of rapport between them is going to make it more interesting once they find out about everything. But yeah, overall, this wasn't an absolutely revolutionary episode where anything amazing happened, but I thought it was a solid, enjoyable character episode. I'd give it an 8. Anyway, until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It's Awesome Writer, signing out.